Well, the Sunday People's political editor, Nigel Nelson, joins us now. Hello there, Nigel.
Good morning.
My goodness, what's going to happen next? I mean, are we any closer, do you think, to Boris Johnson considering stepping down?
Oh, well, he must be. I mean, the key event will be Sue Gray's report, which will probably come out next week. And this is investigating all the parties. As you just said, Anne, we're now getting to a total of about 13 in Whitehall. She must be sort of waking up every morning and thinking, oh, no, not another one, every time she sees the papers. And now we know that they had parties every Friday. I think the image of the drink fridge being wheeled in to hold all the booze will just do more and more damage. So Tory MPs are sort of holding their fire at the moment until the report comes out. But at the moment, Boris Johnson's future is hanging by a knife edge.
It's interesting that the Mail is claiming that Keir Starmer has broken some of the rules as well. I mean, how much heat does that take off the Prime Minister?
Well, I mean, a certain amount. It doesn't look like from the front page of the Daily Mail that this is exactly a number 10 style knees-up. But I do think Keir Starmer needs to examine his memory and try and remember exactly what he was doing then. And in the event that he discovers that he did, in fact, break COVID rules, then, of course, he must also apologise. And it's perfectly clear that when this event took place, it looks like a drink with colleagues. But when this event took place, the nation was in step 2, which meant no socialising indoors. So, yes, I mean, suddenly Sir Keir has some questions to answer too.
The inquiry is probably likely, isn't it? Because the more you delve into the detail of any of this, the more you see that that sometimes it's arguable. And isn't it likely that the inquiry is going to say, well, a few rules were broken, but then everybody was at it and these people were working together all day, so what if they have a drink at night? It's going to let him off, isn't it?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that the inquiry is not about apportioning blame. So what Sue Gray will actually set out is the facts of the case, that for the first time, we'll probably see exactly how many parties there were, when they happened, what they constituted. That is the kind of evidence she will set out. She'll also make the point about what the rules were in place at the time. And then I think that she'll let the rest of us make a judgment. Now, in the event that it looks like the rules were broken, as of course it does from the reports we've seen so far, that would then get passed on to the Boris Johnson's Standards Chief, Lord Geidt, and he would be the one who would decide who is responsible, who is to blame. But the biggest danger for Boris Johnson is that as the revelations keep coming out, and it's been a drip feed since December, Tory MPs are getting more and more angry. And so he faces 2 threats. One is Tory MPs going for a vote of no confidence in him, which could end his premiership, or indeed the cabinet turning on him, saying that he's got no authority left, and they will try and replace him that way.
What about the police side of all of this, Nigel? I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine last night who was furious because her son was part of a party of 18-year-olds going to university for the first time, and they got caught having a bit of a party, as you'd expect 18-year-olds going to university to do. Yes. And the person whose flat it was fined £10,000. And as she said, well, they're keen enough to fine penniless students 10 grand. But what happens to people like the Prime Minister?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the police have tried to stay out of it as much as possible. They may not be able to next week, because obviously when the Sue Gray report comes out, what the police will then be able to see is direct evidence whether any crime was committed. So I don't think the Boris is off the hook as far as the police go yet. It will depend on Sue Gray's report. But yes, this is why all the anger around the country is going on, that people were fined for doing something similar, and it does look like one rule for them, one rule for the rest of us. But as I say, say, I think the police feeling has been, let's see what comes out. They don't tend to try and do things retrospectively. When they catch people, they find them. But in this case, if evidence is presented before them, they will have no choice but to investigate.
I mean, Nigel, what do you think personally? Because you've been in the business a long time. Have you ever been in Downing Street at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon when they break open the wine bottles?
No, I don't get invited to those parties, surprisingly. But yes, I have been in Downing Street many times for receptions. I've been out in the garden there in the summer, and it is beautiful. But I haven't been there since the pandemic started. So I don't know what's been going on then. I think that everything changes with the pandemic. Of course, Downing Street is both a home and an office, and it's also our kind of showcase for foreign dignitaries. So there are constant receptions and drinks parties there in normal times. But we're not in normal times. That any party I might have gone to over the last 2 years in Downing Street has been cancelled, but apparently not for the staff.
Well, it wasn't. That's what I can't get my head around. Apparently, the Wine Time Fridays weren't parties. They were just understood that by about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock on a Friday, because everybody's been working hard and they are already working together. So they're bubbled in a way, I suppose, at least during the working day. Is there anything that wrong with them breaking open a bottle of wine and having a glass? I can't quite get my head around what is quite so shocking about that. Can you?
Well, I mean, what is shocking about it is because the rules at the time were saying you shouldn't do that. Now, I didn't go to my workplace during the lockdown times. I didn't go out and have drinks with colleagues or anything like that. And when you're in Downing Street and you're at the heart of government, the one thing you should be doing is obeying the rules. So what actually surprises me is that they were so cavalier about what the rules were at the time. And I think it's that kind of thing. It's a question of actually setting an example. Now, it may be there's all sorts of loopholes you can actually use to say laws weren't broken. One of the points is that it's Downing Street is a Crown property and therefore not subject to some of the law. But I don't think that really washes. What this shows is a huge error of judgment on behalf of Number 10 staff. And now we know that the Prime Minister was at least at one of these parties and possibly more, and certainly seems to know about them, is a huge error of judgment by him.